Joseph Jaworsky, noted scientist, recently escaped from behind the Iron Curtain. Wife and children killed in Hungary. His aide carries a briefcase, secret data on the Russian moonshot. Joseph Jaworsky's destination, Yucca Flats, and a meeting with top brass at the A-bomb testing ground.
This is the Beast of Yucca Flats, and it is quite the strangest film I have ever seen. It stars Tor Johnson. Starring might possibly be a strong word for it as he barely acts, but former wrestler Tor Johnson is in this movie, and he is probably best known for being the police officer in Plan 9 from Outer Space. And he was portrayed by George the Animal Steel in the Tim Burton film Ed Wood about the making of that movie. But to some people he was a star, and this was his last time in the limelight.
Just for the record, what's your gross tonnage?
It's about 387 pounds.
Is that strip for Jim?
That's soaking wet.
What are the rest of your dimensions, Tor? Personally, I'm not interested, but you may be an old boxcar that the Union Pacific Railroad is looking for.
My hips are 60, my stomach waistline is 54, and the chest is 62. My bicep is 22, and the neck is 20.
We have the same measurements. Yes. His chest and my automobile.
The Beast of Yucca Flats was directed and written by Coleman Francis. As far as it was written, I wouldn't be surprised if the movie was made up as they went along. But Francis was an actor who never achieved great fame, but had plenty of small roles throughout his career, albeit mainly in B-movies, often without credit. The most noted film which I have seen him in which he was most certainly credited, was the Russ Meyer movie Motor Psycho.
You Cajun witch! I should have never married you. Should have left you back in biotech. You ain't worth a lead dollar as company, and you're 4 times worse in the sack.
This is how the movie starts. With the scene of a murder, we are led to assume that the faceless body belongs to Tor's character, because he's wearing the same clothes. But at this point in the story, he has not turned into the beast, so this must be either somebody else or take place later in the narrative. But this scene is never seen or spoken of again, and that pretty much sums up the movie's ethos. Stuff happens.
Flag on the moon. How did it get there? Secret data. Pictures of the moon. Secret data. Never before outside the Kremlin. Man's first rocket to the moon.
This is how the plot is imparted to the audience. Rather than seeing any setup, we are told, in a fragmented voiceover, there are pictures in a briefcase of Russia's secret landing on the moon. This film was released in 1961, remember, 8 years before America would actually achieve such things, and the space race was very much in the public consciousness.
Yucca Flats. The A-bomb.
Atomic bombs were another buzzword of the time, and it would seem remiss not to include one in the plot. The testing of such a weapon in the vicinity of Tor Johnson turns him into the Beast of Yucca Flats.
A scientist becomes a beast.
Some of you may have noticed something already, but this is the voice of the director of Gremlins and The Howling, Joe Dante, to say the quiet bit out loud.
The only interesting thing about this picture, and really there is nothing interesting about it, is that to save money, director Coleman Francis shot this picture without sound. And so all of the shots are set up to be able to cut away from people just before they speak, or have them turn their backs, or maybe sometimes the cameraman just decides to cut off their heads.
So all the dialogue and what very few sound effects there are were all added in post. So scenes regularly play out like this.
Officer.
Yeah?
There's a man dead. Back down the road.
Dead? How far down?
Couple miles. Maybe more. Lying behind his car. Looks like he's been choked.
That is possibly the longest interaction of dialogues of the film. I'm so glad they saved it for such an important and interesting scene.
How much do I owe you?
$3.
Boys, we're leaving.
Mom, we saw some real pigs.
Yeah, and a coyote.
Coyote?
Yeah.
Don't you be playing with coyotes. Now, come on. We're leaving. Come on.
Oh, we never get to have any fun.
They are not the only ones not having fun. This film is so confusing. It looks like a movie, but it doesn't seem to fit together like one.
The beast, finding his victim gone, unleashes his fury.
It is only 55 minutes long, so in theory a film like this should fly by. But everything is so unconnected and stilted that it seems to go on forever. And normally a film like this would have been forgotten forever, were it not for Mystery Science Theatre 3000.
This doesn't look like the Coleman Francis genre, does it?
Joseph Jaworsky, noted scientist.
And Airplane.
Recently escaped from behind the Iron Curtain. Wife and children killed in Hungary. His aide carries a briefcase. Secret data on the Russian moonshot.
And a change of underpants.
Joseph Jaworsky's destination, Yucca Flats. And a meeting with top brass at the A-bomb testing ground.
Avon testing grounds? Rabbits with little shaved butts.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, that's just Tor Johnson.
Mitch Jenkins pulls up. Destination, Yucca Flats Superette.
Time for go to ground transportation.
Here's the airport, Mr. Khrushchev. Well, not really an airport, more of a field, a landing strip. Well, not a strip, actually.
Marlon Brando arrives for the Larry King interview.
A particularly funny episode of the series brought the film to an audience that would not have seen it otherwise. I'll let you decide if that's a good or a bad thing.
Joseph Jaworsky, noted scientist.
If I was given the task to find as many positives about this film as I can, I could think of two. Firstly, it is competently shot. I don't mean extravagantly or stylistically shot, but for a film of this period and this budget, it's fine. It really doesn't look any worse than many of its contemporaries. And secondly, it got made. And by that I mean someone, in this case Coleman Francis, didn't let the lack of talent, budget or even a sound man stop him from making a movie. This film exists. You can find it in full on YouTube. Get some friends around and have a laugh at it. But you can only do that because it exists and someone made it. And it's really hard to make something, even shit. So hats off to Coleman Francis for that. If you would like to support me in making my own shit, you can send me a one-time donation via this site. I'm Scott Kingsnorth, and I'm making a movie.